Yesterday I'd been fasting for about 30 hours on a water plus Himalayan salt and garlic mixture. That would be basically this. I had nothing but this for, I know it looks gross, for about 30 hours. So that's just this salt right here. And then this right here. I don't know if you can read it, but it says, I don't know, it says 0 calories there. And basically it has pink Himalayan salt, garlic, onion, sea salt, black, red bell pepper, lemon peel, parsley, and garlic oil. But it says 0 calories, so it still qualifies for a medical fast, but not a religious fast. And this is the Himalayan salt. And so I was gonna go for a run. After 30 hours of not basically eating anything. And so I set my GoPro to 1080p at 30 frames per second and took off for a 15-mile jog after this 30-hour fast of nothing but water and salts. And so I had plenty of sodium more than likely, but I was probably low on potassium. I didn't take any water with me, but I had some before I left. And all I carried with me were my GoPro and the keys. This wasn't a religious fast, but it was what's considered a medical fast. Okay. So I took off with a shaky camera, realized nobody's going to want to watch this. So I started talking into the camera to try to comment on things about health and related matters. Before long, I had like a colorful metaphor as Spock on Star Trek would point them out to come out of my mouth. And then as I kept going, I was going to very dark places, and I don't know why. And before long, I had plenty of colorful metaphors coming out of my mouth. Normally, a lot of times what I do is I'll pray for my family while I'm on those jogs. You know, I'll pray for their health, pray that they stay. I'll just pray for my family during those jogs and sometimes for other people. But for whatever reason, when I was talking to the GoPro, my mind just went dark. So you're not going to see any of that, not going to hear any of that. It's not something most people would want to hear or see. So I took that out, and so nothing exciting happened anyways. The 2 dogs that often like to come out and chase me in the road and harass me, they left me alone, and I was so happy for that. I normally say praise Jesus if I make it to a certain mailbox before they come out, and there was no problems there. I was great for that. I completed the 15-mile jog on water and Himalayan salt only, but the GoPro died at around mile 10, which is pretty good. It lasted about an hour. Yeah, it took me a very long time to get this jog done. The GoPro lasted about an hour and 30 minutes, and then the battery died, and let's see, but it didn't overheat, and I was very happy for that because this GoPro 10 is apparently very prone to overheating. And so the myth that we need calories is complete bull. You know, what we really need is sunlight, sleep, and nutrient-dense foods. So anyways, I spent about 2 hours and 45 minutes jogging yesterday, and on a good day, on a really good day when I'm fed, I can probably do a half marathon in about 100 minutes. I was going for like 90 minutes of the last Fayetteville half marathon when I was chasing some kids around, but I didn't quite make that. I came very, very, very close to getting the 90-minute mark, but I did not make it that time. But I spent about 2 hours, 45 minutes jogging yesterday. It was 15 miles, not 13.1. And then I spent another like 5 editing the video before I realized this video was complete trash. You know, it's nothing anybody would want to see. And so I tossed it because it was just overly critical. It was saying things that should not be said. I don't know why I went there. But basically, why am I doing this again? Why am I doing it again? I'm inside now, and basically America is in a full-blown crisis right now where we believe people when they say you can't do that or it's impossible. This is the land of comfort, and we're now happy to pout, complain, and comfort ourselves with video games, Facebook, Instagram, X, TV, and many of us stop being physically active. When a friend says you are this or your family is that, we believe them. What's worse is we don't believe these friends. What's worse than believing these friends is that we believe mainstream media. And mainstream media sure doesn't have a conservative's views in mind. So don't believe everything the so-called experts tell you, because they will often have agendas or misguided intentions. And even if they mean well, they can still be wrong. Unfortunately, because I'm still on YouTube, I can't be specific because the YouTube police may ding me. You can say plenty of vile and vulgar things on YouTube and get away with it, provided you present it in a certain way. But if you start saying certain conservative beliefs, you can get dinged for that. So you're probably wondering, what is this crazy man ranting about? Well, I'm ranting about challenging yourself in your circumstances and getting solid nutrition, exercise, and sleep so that you can be your best self. We are told that we need to eat 3 meals a day, but I know from personal experience that is not necessary. What is really more critical and necessary is to get the rest and to get the nutrition you need. You can't just be taking in empty calories. If you check out Dr. Eric Berg, a former chiropractor, Mike Motzel, and the MedCram dude, Robert Schultz, I think it is, he's a medical doctor. Eric Berg was a former chiropractor. You check these guys out on YouTube, they'll explain how you can optimize your sleep, your nutrition, your sunlight exposure, and feeding window, and potentially get huge health benefits. Now, regarding restricted feeding, which is the easiest way to get into fasting, or time-restricted eating. The American Heart Association recently put out an article that claims that intermittent fasting is bad for your heart. I think that's a bunch of bunk, because I don't only do intermittent fasting, but I also do multi-day fasting and prolonged fasting sometimes. I haven't done a prolonged fast in a while, but I have done multi-day fasts and prolonged fasts for a while. And a lot of times when I do these super prolonged fasts, I will actually supplement with water and salt. Well, supplement with salt and water. I can only go without water and food for one day, but the point is when you supplement with salt, you get your sodium, but I'm not getting the potassium. So Dr. Eric Berg also recommends that if you are fasting for medical reasons, that you also take in minerals. Okay, and he can suggest what kind of minerals you might want to take. If you're a minor, you probably don't need to fast. What you probably just need to do is cut out the soda pop and the junk food, and you'll be fine. Okay, but but regardless of your age, whether you're a minor, you're an adult, you're a senior citizen, you need to be eating foods that actually are quality foods, like broccoli, cauliflower, that kind of stuff. You can't just be eating like empty things that don't have any nutrition. So what is the real problem here? It's insulin resistance and the inability of you to believe in yourself. And we spend too much time. If you spend time researching the individuals I point out, like Dr. Robert Lucksteig, you will find out that sugar is basically poison. Refined sugar is basically poison. So you're wondering, how can I call sugar poison when it's food? Well, according to Dr. Robert Lucksteig of the University of California, well, sugar really isn't food. I mean, if you're looking at a bomb calorimeter in his words, it would be food, because it creates, you burn it and it combusts. But it contains no nutritional value, so it doesn't actually help you to achieve your best self. Okay, you need to be taking in fiber, you need to be taking in nutrition before you get the calories. And it's best to load with the fiber and then eat with your higher carb foods later, but that's another story, because the fiber slows down the insulin response. Like if you eat baked potatoes like I do, it's best to eat the vegetables first and then the baked potatoes. And there's another trick you can do that I think Dr. Eric Berg, and there's another guy, I can't remember his name, but Dr. Eric Berg mentions apple cider vinegar. Now, be easy with the apple cider vinegar, research it. Don't do more than a tablespoon per glass for like 8 ounces of water initially, because you can really hurt yourself with that stuff. I mean, it's pretty strong. But I maybe even diluted a tablespoon for every 16 ounces of water. And I must say that nothing I say here can be construed as medical advice. My training, my background is actually in information technology. I'm a programmer, and I was formerly a part-time amateur athlete. So I am not a medical expert. So you must verify these things with a reasonable doctor. Not all doctors are alike. Some of them seem to bought into the big pharma scam, I guess, what I would call it. I mean, some of these medications that these people prescribe, they're not necessarily going to treat your root cause and not necessarily going to improve your health. They're going to keep you addicted. So, yeah, you need to get rid of that insulin resistance, because it's the core cause of a lot of the problems of health in America today. Refined sugar, as far as I know, has zero fiber or nutritional value. When you consume sugar, you're basically consuming empty calories. That's the last thing your body needs. The problem with sugar is that sugar is in everything. Watch the video from Dr. Robert Luxtig, Sugar, the Bitter Truth. It's very long, but it's very, very, very important and informative. And the U.S. government doesn't really care that sugar's in everything. They just are happy to let us eat it. I guess because the big sugar companies, the companies that are big in food, they have enough lobbyists to persuade the U.S. government to back off. That's my thought. I mean, I've heard that elsewhere. That's what I tend to believe. Because why would we keep dumping this junk in our food? Because it doesn't help us. In a lot of cases, it doesn't actually improve the taste of the food. They will argue that it increases palatability, but in a lot of cases it doesn't. There is no need to put sugar in bread, but they do it. Bread tastes fine without sugar, unless you're eating a pastry. When there is a so-called pandemic, today's government is more than happy to strip away our freedoms, track us around, force you to take certain medications, and lock you up in your home, where you will likely get minimal sunlight and binge on Netflix or Xbox. In my case, I'd be binging on Civilization. Please don't fall for this. I've had some close family members that bought this nonsense, and hook, line, and sinker, and the results were absolutely catastrophic. Seriously, get some exercise, get some sunlight, get some good food, and don't necessarily take every experimental medication that comes down the pike. Some of you will not approve of what I just said, but I went and took the Novavax vaccine, which it's also experimental, but it's more traditional, like the flu type vaccine. So I'm not saying I'm anti-vax. I'm just saying take something that we can trust. Don't just do anything and everything that some so-called expert tells you to. And I know you need to verify what these guys are saying, these guys that I just mentioned earlier, what they're saying with your common sense. But if it lines up with what you know, then you might want to try it and see if it's right for you, within reason, of course. At this point, you may feel helpless, but if you could only do one thing, please do this. Stop the processed foods, dude. Why do you need processed foods? You don't. Processed foods are a convenience. They put extra junk in there to preserve the foods. They put extra junk in there for all kinds of reasons, mainly to preserve the food and to make it taste so that you'll eat more. They even there's like stuff like, I don't know if they put MSG in a lot of stuff you buy at Walmart, but MSG is purposely, my understanding is MSG is purposely designed to make you eat more. You don't need to eat more. What you need is nutrition. There's a difference between calories and nutrition. So, quit the Starbucks, the Country Crock, the soda pop, and thank your mom for fixing you delicious home-cooked meals. Or go visit your athlete dad and ask him to make you a grass-fed hamburger with Stone Mills bread, pure block cheddar cheese, baked potatoes that aren't wrapped in tin foil, and a healthy salad covered in extra virgin olive oil instead of that nasty salad dressing, which isn't good for you. Now, that last bit was for me, okay? But I'm just saying, eat whole foods, get away from the process, do some prep. In fact, if you're an adult and you're fasting, not only will it save you a little bit of money if you do it right and not binge when you come out of your fast, but it'll save you on prep time. So it kind of balances out. So you're actually getting a better quality health, and you're kind of like breaking even on the time and the money thing. So if you're going to have the choice of putting premium stuff in your body versus garbage, what would you do? I mean, you line up at the gas station. Sometimes you put in the better gasoline. Some people do. Well, it makes sense to put good body. So many years ago, I started Ironman training. My oldest genius daughter, Grace, told me I should be concerned about McDonald's food. I was young then. And she was too, of course. I was young then, so even though she's incredibly smart, I kind of blew her off, which is it was a bad dad move already. Okay, whatever. I should have taken her more seriously, but she was a kid, and here I am, the adult, so I'm like, well, yeah, all right, whatever. I just was, whatever. Come on, it's McDonald's food. It's good for you. It's okay. But she said it doesn't spoil. I'm like, so? Yeah, it doesn't spoil. Big deal. All right. But then she basically said it doesn't spoil like in forever. That wasn't her words, but, you know. Well, apparently the shelf life of McDonald's food is disturbingly long, and a lot of processed foods. According to Heinz on Today.com, there's an article titled McDonald's Burger and Fries that shows no signs of rot after 6 years. Okay, I have ate some hamburgers with my daughters during visitation, and I enjoyed them. But I haven't really had a McDonald's hamburger in 5 years. I don't go out and eat. I eat Whole Foods pretty much because I'm healthy, and I used to be an amateur athlete. I don't compete anymore because I don't have time. But I could have like an 8-year-old McDonald's cheeseburger or 8-year-old McDonald's quarter pounder with fries lurking somewhere around here in my intestines or something in my body. That's a pretty scary thought. It may still not be digested because of all that junk they put in it. You need food that spoils. You need food that breaks down and puts the nutrients in your body. You need to take care of it and put it in the fridge, you know, so that you don't waste your money and it spoils as soon as you get it home. But you don't want all these pesticides. You don't want all these anti-molding agents, etc., in your food, because there's no telling what that's doing to your body and what kind of cancers it could potentially cause. So my daughter Grace was right, and I should have listened to her. Well, now I know, and pretty much I just eat Whole Foods these days, but I wished I would have been a little bit more considerate back then, because she is absolutely brilliant, I'm telling you. And I've got another daughter named Faith who is super hard charging. Sempre Fidelis, I think it's the Marines logo. I'm not saying she's a Marine, but she's like Faith always, you know? That's her middle name, Faith. She just always charges. She's quick to forgive. She's quick to keep going. No matter what life throws her way, she just goes. And then I've got the youngest. Her name's, Hope. She's my little glow sheepy. Wherever she goes, she always spreads joy. The people she's around, she just spreads joy. That's what she does. That's her talent. They all three got talents. Little one spreads joy. Middle one, just faith always. The oldest one, super smart. All three, very good gifts. So you're probably thinking I already know all this stuff about all this foods and how I should be eating whole foods and everything. Well, then why don't you do it? Well, you should. Why is this crazy dad telling me all this stuff? Well, just do it then. Seriously, eat whole foods. Respect your mother. Eat the food. When she makes you a home cooked meal, enjoy it, because you do not want TV dinners. I mean, I know sometimes things get busy, and a mom's got to do what she's got to do. All right, got that. But when she takes the time and effort to make you a nutritious meal, that's coming out of a heart of love. So I'm not saying everybody should be jogging 15 miles every Saturday, and most of the time I eat before I actually jog 15 miles, but everybody should be exercising at least twice a week, and probably for 30 minutes at a time. You know, 30 minutes a time, twice a week. That's 1 hour. If you're watching this video, you probably got 1 hour of time. No matter who you are, I suspect whoever you are, you probably have 1 hour a week that you can spare for physical fitness. You may not be sparing it, but you should. At least twice a week. Personally, I ride my bicycle wherever I go. I haven't had a I have a driver's license, but I haven't owned a car in probably 5 years now. Okay? It's not a big deal. It is when visitation comes up with my kids to some extent, but not having a car is not a problem with me. I just throw my groceries and my panniers in my back, and there off I go. I can get just about anywhere on that bicycle, and I'm 49 years old. So then I also do strength training about twice a week in the hyper gym, and I used to swim once a week and practice the butterfly, but I had to quit because I have a full-time job in music school and church. So I no longer have time for that, but I'm pretty sure you have the 1 hour a week that you can make. And don't let me go get Arnold Schwarzenegger and have him preach to you, even though he's not real big on sleep. He says that there's no excuse for not exercising in the gym. That's what Arnold Schwarzenegger says. No excuse. But as far as his beliefs about 6 hours of sleep a night, I wouldn't believe that. That guy's just naturally gifted with extra amounts of testosterone that most men don't have. So for whatever reason, he's like an alien. He can go on like 6 hours of sleep a night. I need 8. But there's nothing forcing you to drink soda pop or Starbucks coffee. You can make your own green tea or coffee using filtered water and none of the sweetener garbage that Starbucks might put into some of their offerings. As long as you're old enough to, and your parents agree with you using the stove, you can actually maybe use the microwave, but I don't trust microwaves. I particularly don't trust plastic in microwaves. I don't trust plastic, period, anymore. I use plastic water bottles on my bicycle, but I've been shying away from them lately because I think something that Mike Mutzel said on one of his YouTube posts, I'm like, yeah, I probably don't need to be using plastics. So, anyways, please stop putting things into your body that don't belong. This reference may seem a little bit off to you, but in the Holy Bible, Jesus says, be on your guard against the yeast of the Pharisees, which is hypocrisy. Luke 12:1 NIV. So what does yeast do? Well, it grows. There's good yeast, there's bad yeast. There's dead yeast, and it doesn't really grow. But, the point, you put it in food, and it like expands and rises. So if you want yeast in your body, you want good yeast. And the Holy Bible says for us to not be putting bad things in our mind. And I have no idea why I went to a dark place yesterday. I just did. I went to my dark place yesterday, and I said all kinds of junk in that GoPro that nobody would want to hear. Okay? Well, okay, some military people probably wouldn't mind, but I'm just saying, nobody had any business saying some of that stuff I said. I don't know what happened. Okay, that's one of the things. Iron Man can be a spiritual thing. It can help you process through these horrible emotions. It's like therapy, and it can help you with depression, anxiety, and all sorts of things. Confidence. I highly recommend it, but it's very, 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 very expensive. If you're in counseling, it's probably a pretty good alternative to counseling, depending on how severe your situation is, but it is expensive and time consuming. And if you're on drugs, then, it depends on what, there's street drugs and there's legal drugs, and that I would consider medicinal drugs still drugs also, which most athletes are off of them. But if you're on drugs, it can help with that too. And it would definitely be less expensive than drugs. Lionel Sanders is one of the best triathletes there is, and I believe he used to have a drug addiction. He got into Ironman, and he just tears the place up. He's just absolutely awesome. And I believe he's a Christian. I think he's a Christian. I think he was at one time witnessing to some extent. And I'm getting off topic, but I had a chance to get his autograph at the Florida Ironman, and I missed it because I saw him, and I'm like, let me go back and get my pen. Well, I'm going to go back and got it. So I wanted to get it for my daughter, Faith, where I gave her my Ironman backpack that I got through the thing. I wanted to get him to sign it, but I'm like, but then there are people taking selfies. I'm like, oh, let me go get my camera. And I came back. I went and got my phone and came back. I did this like twice, like an idiot, thinking he would still be there, and he was gone. So I didn't get the autograph for Lionel Sanders, and I'm sorry, Faith. I still think you're an Iron Girl, but I missed the opportunity. So, food doesn't grow when you eat it unless you eat the wrong kind of yeast. So Dr. Eric Berg would say over time, plastics can accumulate in your body, and advanced glycation end products can accumulate in your body if you eat the wrong foods. Some of the salts, they have like sea plastics in them maybe. And plastics, once you get plastics in your body, they hardly ever break down. That's why Himalayan salt. The cost of Himalayan salt is negligible. You look at how much Himalayan salt costs, and yes, it costs way more than regular salt. But how much do you really, really, really eat? It takes a long time to go through a small bag. It takes a long time to go through a small bag of Himalayan salt like this. Okay? So the fact that it costs more is really not that big a deal. Now, when we're getting into chicken eggs and pasture-raised chicken eggs, that is actually a significant cost, but it's worth it. Okay? But the salt, don't even sweat that. Some people do sea salt, but then again, you run into the issue of microplastics, and they get stuck in your body and they never leave. You can check out Dr. Eric Berg on that. and then the advanced glycation end products, they have to do with the way food is processed. That's one of the reasons why I quit eating crackers, because they have like this some sort of soy product in there, and the way they process the soy product is not healthy. In some crackers, they even put, I don't know if they put sugar in crackers. I'd have to check on that. But basically, and like in Cheez-Its, which is what I used to really like, they had like TBHQ in there, and I don't need that in my body. So I just quit crackers altogether. Haven't had crackers in a long time. I just do bread. And bread's not particularly safe, but it's decent. Okay? If you get the right bread. But, yeah, you don't want this, you don't want all that junk in there. So over time, as you eat the bad foods, it just accumulates. And that's where fasting can come in to kind of get clean all that garbage out. But this kind of stuff can lead to insulin resistance, non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, and a whole host of other problems. But if you don't need to take my word for it. Look it up on YouTube. So, most of these people that I mentioned, they're pretty friendly. But I will admit that Dr. Robert Lustig is a little bit gruff and rough. So he may say a few colorful metaphors every occasionally, but don't worry about it too much because he's pretty clean. So he's pretty fairly family-friendly. What do I eat? Well, I fast on some days, as I mentioned, and mostly these days I don't do a whole lot of religious fasting, but I do medical fasting. And I may pray during a medical fast, but I was fasting yesterday. I'd fasted for 30 hours, and I still went to a dark place. So was that a religious fast? Well, no, definitely not, but it was a medical fast, so I got some benefit out of it, right? Anyway, so, if you're a minor, you probably don't need to fast. But oh yeah, and religious fasts are a different animal from medical fasts. But if you're a minor, you probably don't need to fast. You probably just need to cut out the soda pop and junk food, and you'll probably be fine. Okay, don't go too excessive on the carbs. Of course, if you're a teenager and you have a super high metabolism, you might get away with it to a certain extent. But soda pop is not good for you. There's no reason to eat soda pop, so just don't. And Gatorade, don't. What I do now, I don't even do Gatorade anymore. What I usually do is I'll usually do salt, put salt in my water and put that in my water bottle. Now, if I'm on an event day, I still avoid Gatorade. What I'll often do is drink some palm juice. I've actually got some palm juices for my kids. I keep wanting to get them to them, but I don't have an opportunity to get them to them. And it's pomegranate juice. It's really healthy. It's really great for a guy. It can really give you a serious performance boost. I'm presuming it's great for girls too. But it's just, I don't know. And juice isn't really great for you. But this particular juice, I think it's okay in moderation. Just don't go crazy with it. So anyway, you should verify on your own. But when your stomach runs out of food, I think it pulls glucose out of your muscles and then the liver. And then starts breaking down your fat cells. There was an article on Healthline that appears to be by Sayet and Ajamera. I don't know if I pronounced that right. Titled "Stages of Fasting," and may have better explain the process. So basically, when I was going on that 30 deals, I may have been running on ketones because I may have already exhausted my glucose. So fasting should be safe for adults. You can go for a very, 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 very long time without food. You're just going to make sure that you get the right nutrients. Look, again, if you're a minor, please talk to your parents about this. Don't go blaming me for saying that, you should be fasting all the time, because although I believe in it heavily, I don't want you to do something that would upset your parents, and I don't want you to do something that would go too far against what, your current doctor might say. If you have a doctor that's giving you horribly bad advice and having you on medicine that you don't need to be on, maybe now might be a good time to go find a different opinion, because there are medical doctors out there that do believe in the power of exercise and proper rest and proper, nutrition, and they don't necessarily want to cram down the latest, greatest medicine down your throat. There are doctors that will do that, unfortunately, apparently, what it seems. So now on the days I do eat, what do I normally eat? I normally eat sauerkraut, broccoli, lemons, oranges, bananas, grass-fed beef, salmon, seaweed, cod, minimal oysters for zinc. Only takes a very small amount of oysters to get that zinc value. Zinc is critically important for your immune system and for guys particularly. Even though it's very expensive, you only need a very small amount of oysters, because it's very hard to get zinc effectively without oysters, apparently. I mean, I've looked around for the cheapest ways to get this certain medicines naturally without having to pop a pill, which is what I used to do when I was back when my family situation was better. I would just take a multivitamin, and that's not necessarily the best approach. And not to mention the fact, when you get into racing, which I did a little bit for a while, they test you, and although they don't necessarily tell you to not take supplements, they do have certain banned substances. And no, multivitamins are not on the list of banned substances, but it's just best to get all your stuff naturally as much as you can. So yeah, so the zinc for the guys, definitely. Oh yeah, you can get it from oatmeal, I think, certain oatmeals. But the problem with that is that there was an article, I don't know who did it, out recently, that was complaining about certain oat-based cereals having a chemical in them that was bad for you, caused reproductive issues. And I'm not in a position to reproduce right now, but I'm just saying it could. I'm sorry for mentioning that. I'm just saying that the oat-based products may have things in them that you don't need to have. Okay, and so I kind of backed off of that for a while until they figure out what it is they're putting in these things, like Cheerios and other products. And I don't remember the source, but Cheerios and other oat-based products that's causing this. And I think they said the organic products were a little bit better on that. So I'm just staying away from the oat-based stuff for a while, to an extent. And so I also do, pasture-raised chicken eggs. Why? Because they get to go out and eat the bugs. If they stay inside and all the time all they do is eat grains, that's not good for you, the chicken, or you, okay? You need the chickens to be happy. When the chickens are happy, your body is happy. So, and really, the reason why you have to go with pasture-raised is because there's various levels of different eggs, and they're not always straightforward with what happens at those levels of eggs. And sometimes they might say like cage-free, and that may not really mean a whole lot. And Dr. Eric Berg can explain that to you, but basically with cage-free, you may be paying more extra money for the egg, but not getting any benefit whatsoever. Whereas pasture-raised, the chickens are actually roaming like maybe 8 acres or so. I'm not sure about free range, how that relates, but I've seen some egg companies say free range 8+ acres, so that seems reasonable. You just want to make sure your chickens are not getting grains, and that goes with cows too. That's one of the reasons why you eat grass-fed beef. The best place I know of to get grass-fed beef and pasture-raised chicken eggs is Aldi's, I think. It's the cheapest place I'm aware of. I don't think Walmart can beat their prices. I don't think. You might want to check on yourself. I don't have the best memory. And one of the reasons I mitigate cost on that is I just cut down the portions, okay? On the, the grass-fed beef, I don't cut down the portions on the eggs. I eat like 3 eggs a day, when I do eat, and sometimes more. And it's not horribly expensive, because you do pay a lot for the eggs, but there's like 12 of them. But on the grass-fed beef, I eat these small portions, so it lasts a lot longer, okay? And so I'm not putting so many poisons in my body. And first of all, you shouldn't be eating tons of meat anyways. Back when I was like a teenager, I used to eat if a relative was fixing hamburgers, I might eat 3 or 4 hamburgers in one day. Well, do I still need to be eating 3 or 4 hamburgers in one meal? I said day, but I meant meal. No. So I can eat one little hamburger, of a reasonable size, and be fine, along with potatoes, which potatoes are pretty cheap. Okay, but you got to watch the glycemic thing and preload with fiber to keep that glycemic index fine. And I think I mentioned apple cider vinegar, but be sure to make sure you dilute it, because that stuff is strong if you go the apple cider vinegar route. So just cut down the portions, go with the grass-fed beef, and you're going to be better off. Now, if you're making meatloaf, that's another story. And one of the things that I used to absolutely love and absolutely 100% adore and still miss is the mother of my children used to make the most amazing meatloaf I've ever ate in my entire life. And I mean that from the I'm sorry, I mean that from the sincerity of my heart. But I need to focus, because otherwise I'm gonna look stupid, because apparently, I don't know what it is, but she doesn't like to see me grovel. I thought some women like that, but she doesn't like it. So, and she may see this. I don't think she'll see it, but she might. Anyway, I don't necessarily eat all these things in the same day. And let's see. Garlic, cucumber, spinach, carrots, raisins, safe bread, and a lot of nuts. So I don't necessarily eat all these things on the same day, but I may change the items and how they're prepared from time to time. Is sauerkraut safe for children? Well, probably, but I don't know for certain. It is a fermented food, but I think bananas have alcohol in them too. And I have a funny story about my oldest daughter that she may not like me saying. But anyways, her mother and I put like some applesauce in her backpack or something like, or no, her mother put the applesauce in her backpack because I was letting the mom take care of that. She took care of a lot. She's wonderful. But I mean that. I can't help the fact that I have a temper. Okay, I have a temper. I'm trying to improve it. I'm trying to correct it. But she is a wonderful person. She's a woman of dignity. Like apples of gold and settings of silver. Is that the right reference? A beautiful woman who can find, or a righteous woman who can find. I don't remember that. I probably should read more. But the point is that she put this applesauce in this backpack. My daughter takes it off to school. She doesn't want it. She puts her backpack, for whatever reason, she doesn't want it. She puts her backpack, hides it under her bed. I don't know, weeks, months later, we smell this weird odor coming from her room. Because she's a little one, and it's okay, because she's just a little baby, not baby, but she was young. It was okay for me to go in her room and search around and see what's going on. Now, when she's like older, like that would not be acceptable, but at that age, no problem. So I go looking around, see what's going on. Sometimes I'd like help them clean their rooms when they're little, which is probably not a good thing, because they should learn to clean their own rooms, really. Because if you clean it for them, then it leads to bad habits, and you just have more chaos down the road. But that's another story. And so I went in there looking, and I found this backpack that smelled. Opened it up, and there was applesauce in there. And apparently, I think it smelled like alcohol. I'm thinking my daughter had accidentally figured out how to make alcohol out of applesauce, because she had like this applesauce in this very dark, cool place. I guess it was a cool place for a certain amount of time, and there comes the odor. There comes the alcohol, maybe. So yeah, bananas do have alcohol. Fruits can make alcohol, I'm pretty sure. So don't worry about the sauerkraut. Just read the labels, because not all sauerkrauts are the same. Some sauerkrauts may have added alcohol in them. And you certainly wouldn't want your children to have that. But most of the sauerkrauts I've seen do not have alcohol in them. You just got to read the label and make sure. And if you're making your own sauerkraut, then you probably need to be extra careful, and you probably consider yourself an expert, and you wouldn't be watching this video anyways, because you probably know a lot of this stuff I'm talking about, But I'm just saying, be extra careful if you're making your own sauerkraut, and please read the labels before you give sauerkraut to a kid. But I don't think there's any significant amount of alcohol in most sauerkrauts. But it's good for your stomach. Prebiotics need that. And so if you have I don't know where I was, but if you are a minor, you probably don't need to medically fast like I do. Oh, I know. I'm like getting off topic, but so what do I mean by safe bread? Well, bread isn't particularly healthy in the first place, but because it is high on the glycemic index, that's why it's not real healthy. But it's not as bad as, say, refined sugar. Okay, but so. The problem with bread, though, is most breads that you buy at the supermarket, they add extra sugar. They add sugar for no reason. It doesn't really improve the quality of the bread. They say it does, but it doesn't. Even there's a brand that I used to eat called Nature's Own. God, looking through there, all this junk in there, sugar. So I don't know what happened there with the GoPro. Maybe it's starting to overheat, but there was a brand called Nature's Own that I used to eat. of bread, and it apparently contains sugar in it and extra ingredients that are not necessary. So be wary of that. Okay. And there's a deal from Dr. Eric Berg that says, what happens if you stop eating bread for 14 days on YouTube, which explains some of the bad things that are also in bread. And did I give up bread? No, I didn't. I first started modestly reducing my consumption and then getting bread at Stone Mills, a local bakery. Then I found this bread at Walmart, which seems to be pretty safe. Let me go get it real quick. I don't know if you can see that, but this bread right here, the monitor went out. This can be bought at Walmart, and it seems to be fairly good. It doesn't seem to have any extra ingredients, wheat flour, reduced iron, fine. Anyways, I don't see any sugar in there, all right? And I don't see any soy in there that I'm aware of. And you can also buy some products at Aldi's that are like that have a good amount of, some products at Aldi's that have a good amount of, that don't have a lot of extra ingredients. So that's what I mean by safe bread. And if you eat at Stony Mills, if you actually get a chance to eat in their local bakery in Fayetteville, then you can, if you can find that, or some of the others in Northwest Arkansas. I think they didn't start in Fayetteville, but if you eat in one of their local bakeries, you'll find that a lot of the ingredients they use in their meat, in their foods, are high quality and very nutritious. Like I think they at least used the higher quality eggs, you know. And their breads, I've tried many of their different breads, and the ingredients on those breads are really good. Now they do have some pastries there which would have sugar, but at least they're trying to do the right thing and what's health conscious. And there's lemonade in there, which is not necessarily good for your health, but I'm just saying, you know, why put sugar in bread when you don't need it? Why put toxins in bread when you don't need it? And that's the Stone Mills approach, is let's not put things in food that doesn't need to be there. So many of them have, I already went through that. That's what I did. So that's where you can find uncontaminated bread. It still isn't great to eat tons of bread with no veggies, but if you stay away from the big names and read the labels, you should find something is reasonably healthy. Which brings me to another topic: sugar versus honey. Virtually every parent knows that you never give a baby under 1 the age of honey. There's a WebMD article that says, when can a baby have honey, that appears to be by various WebMD contributors and reviewed by Dr. Brennan that can confirm this. But for everyone else, honey in moderation may be a little bit healthier than refined sugar. So see Honey versus Sugar, Which Sweetener Should I Use?, which appears to be by Whelan and reviewed by Warwick. I think the main takeaway here is that honey actually comes with added nutritional value, whereas refined sugar does not. I rarely eat pancakes anymore, but personally I think that honey might be a slightly healthier alternative than the corn syrup that you get in get at the stores. And I used to do maple syrup, but I think honey is even healthier than maple syrup. So on the list, it's like corn syrup's like the worst. Maple syrup is a little healthier, and then honey like significantly healthier. So I don't know. So what kind of honey should you get? Well, I'm trying to get to that. I think the main thing is that you should be doing raw honey. There's a Healthline article out there about 8 raw honey benefits for your health by Goodman and Clark that revealed by Johnson. It tells you about the health benefits of raw honey. And so in addition to nutrition, which honey can have as opposed to refined sugar, is that raw honey can have antioxidants and some antibacterial properties depending on the grade, and may help your immune system and may even help your brain. Now please don't go overboard on the honey. Don't get too much honey. But what I'm saying is that, you know, if you're eating sugar, you could maybe put in honey instead of the sugar, you know. Just don't like gob it down. And so where would you get raw honey? Well, there's a place here in Arkansas. I'm not affiliated with them. They did not tell me to do this. They do not endorse any of the things that I say in this post. They don't neither disagree or agree with what I'm saying, but what I'm trying to tell you, but I care about your health. If you care about if you're watching this video, I care about your health. And so what I'm trying to tell you is I want to tell you about a product that I believe in. And I do know loosely or vaguely the one of the stakeholders of the business. I don't know the person real well, but the person is like kind of like a coworker, but in a like higher upper level position than I am, not in my chain of command. So I will tell you that much. But I'm not likely going to get any kickback from this. So this is not a paid advertisement. I'm probably not going to get any reimbursement from this. I just want you two to know that, because you have to disclose that if that's the case. I'm just trying to tell you what you need to get a better health. And honey is a better alternative than sugar, I'm pretty sure. Okay, for those reasons I mentioned above. The nutritional benefits, the antioxidants, the antibacterial properties. It supposedly may even be good for your immune system and your brain. So where would you get this? They don't necessarily agree with this, but I'm going to list it. I would suggest White River Honey and Woodcraft is shown on the screen. It's going to come up here in a little bit. And I would suggest you call that number there and see if you can get some honey from them. They should have a distributor in the Fayetteville, Arkansas area. If you are around Fayetteville, Arkansas, I'm sure they... Okay, the GoPro's acting stupid. But anyways, what I was trying to tell you is that I'm sure that they can ship the honey to you if you need that to happen. And I don't have any affiliation with them. They don't necessarily agree with what I say here. I'm going to have to wrap this up because apparently the GoPro's freaking out and I'm probably being long-winded and boring you to pieces. But please consider getting honey from them and understand that I do not have a business relationship or otherwise significant relationship with that entity. It's a coworker, and I don't know that coworker real well. So as an occasional athlete, I'm also passionate about fitness, and your fitness matters to me. So with all that said, I want to say something else I'm passionate about, and that's the Ironman. I don't do Ironman events anymore because I'm a part-time music student with a full-time J job. But the question is, why would anyone spend all that money to swim 2.4 miles, ride 112 miles on their bicycle, and then 26.2 miles in the same day? That's a lot of money. That's a lot of investment in time. Well, they do it to break mental barriers, okay? So when you go through, if you go through U.S. military training, they will attack you mentally with horribly foul mouths. Why will they do that? After all, it's harassment. They want to see who you really are. They are trying to draw out your real self. They don't give a rip if you know how to cuss, but they want to see people that go stronger under persecution. They like to see non-believers and believers alike that take lemons and make lemonade. Again, I said that lemonade isn't the greatest thing in the world for you, but that's what they want to see. They want to see people that take bad things and turn them into good things. It takes that kind of, I don't know, that kind of environment, that kind of pressure to create a diamond. So there's actually a Christian song about that. The truth is that pain and suffering can sometimes make us stronger. Okay? So it depends on how we handle the punches life throws our way. That's what an Ironman is about. It's about telling your haters and your friends that are close to you, your true friends. It's about telling your haters to take a hike and your true friends and family that you aren't done yet. You want to tell your haters to get out of the way because I got more to say, and you're telling your true friends and your family that, you know, this is what I'm about. I will accomplish this. Or I am a leader. I am a successful person. And not to brag about yourself, but to brag about yourself through the Lord Jesus Christ. And there's a woman, the Iron Nun. I hope I get the age right, but I think she completed a full Ironman at age 82. A full Ironman at age 82. Madonna Butter. They call her the Iron Nun. She used to be a nun. 82 years old, completing a full Ironman. An 82-year-old woman swimming 2.4 miles, 120, and riding a bike 112 miles, and running 26.2 mile marathon after that. And she probably swam in open water because most of the most of the, well, almost all of them are open water, but some of them are in lakes, some of them are rivers, and some are oceans. I don't know if she did an ocean swim on that one or not, but I'm just saying, very challenging stuff, but she was able to accomplish it. Why? I guess because she drew through her strength through the Lord. Not only that, but she probably actually practices, I bet she, as a nun, she probably practiced fasting at one time in her life. And I wouldn't be surprised if she didn't practice fasting during some part of her training process, which would allow her to kick into ketosis easier. I never actually asked her that, but I wouldn't be surprised, because when you're in an Ironman, you have to kick into ketosis. You have to draw in beyond the glycogen stores. You have to go to ketones more than likely. Now, some athletes, they develop a really super strong digestive system, so they can process more glucose as it comes into the body, and so they're less likely to run out of glucose as faster. But there's a good chance that if you're a normal person, you will run out of all your glucose at some point, and you may very well be running on ketones. Anyway, so I'm just telling you, Madonna Butter did it. Sister Madonna Butter did it. You can too. So that's what an Ironman is about. It's about telling your haters to take a hike and your true friends and family that you aren't done yet. It's about telling people to constantly try to convince you that you are a failure, that you really are a leader. If you ever go through U.S. military training or in a similar situation where someone close to you is overly critical, it often isn't because they want you to fail. Instead, it's because they want you to win, and win big. Don't interpret criticism as a lack of love. There's a lot of people that say critical things, but they mean it, and it may come across harsh, but they mean it for your good. Instead of interpreting criticism as a lack of love, interpret it as a gift, especially when the harsh criticism comes from your dad. As many soldiers would say, and I'm not saying everybody that's watching this is going to be in the military. I know it wasn't the best environment for me, although I want back in, but I'm too old. But as many soldiers would say, embrace, and I'm going to say it in polite words. They have another saying for it, but I'm going to say this in good, clean words so I don't offend you. As many soldiers would say, embrace the pain and finish your Ironman. Whatever it is, finish your Ironman.
Cyber war, how could we know what was in store? Cyber war, the men in black are knocking at our doors. What did we do? What did we say? Censorship is coming on its way. We took off our masks and ripped out our chips. Machine control, we're quantum orbits. Virtual reality was our dream, but it was much closer than we've seen. Micro PCs to hold in our hands, zombies staring at them in a trance. Media to tell us about each disease. Stay inside, don't go out please. Now we can see what really controls heartless machines to steal our souls. Fight!